Okay, so number 24. This little section here is famous, and it's famous for that octave passage, right? In measures 37, 38, 39, and 40 through here. Octaves on the clarinet are always challenging because every note has a different fingering. We don't have an octave key here, we have a register key. So it forces us to change fingerings. We're not only depressing the register key, but we're completely changing the fingering for the upper note. So octaves are challenging on the clarinet. I want to talk about two things regarding this. So the first one is you have all probably, when you're learning a technical passage, you have probably changed the rhythm up. And the simplest way to do that, one easy way to do that is change it to a dotted rhythm. So if you have a passage of straight 16ths, you can change it to a dotted rhythm. And that just forces our brain to look at it a little bit differently and to learn it again, and helps reinforce where our fingers have to go. So that's definitely something you can use for this passage here. So I would make a dotted rhythm out of it. You can do it two ways. The first way, and then you can just reverse that. Okay, and that's really super effective. And do it at different tempos. Obviously, start slower with it and then work it up. But doing it in that dotted rhythm, that'll be super helpful for learning that passage there. The other thing I want to talk about with octaves, and this goes for any time you're slurring into the clarion register, not just this particular thing here. But you notice when we're going from the D up to the D, maybe sometimes you hear, you get the little blip or something in between, right? Why does that happen? Well, it's happening because our right hand fingers are getting down too early. They're getting down earlier than the register key is being depressed, okay? So it seems intuitive to think that all of that should happen at exactly the same time, right? That the timing, if the timing was perfect, we would get a perfect slur there. Actually, I want you to think of getting the register key ahead. I want you to think of depressing that register key a split second ahead of your right hand fingers coming down. Now you'll need to mess around with this a little bit through trial and error just to get an idea of your own personal timing. But I want you to think of getting the register key down a split second ahead of your right hand fingers. So if our right hand fingers get down early, you get that, all right? And it's really easy for that to happen. I mean, it happens to everybody. But see if, work with it slowly. See if you can get the register key down a split second ahead of your right hand fingers and get better slurs without that little blip. It's actually the shallow note, right, that's coming out. And so work on that and mess around with the timing and see if you can get that a little bit better. The other thing I want to talk about with this one is the articulation style. So I like to lift off the ends of slurs when there's a tongue note after it. So for example, in measure 41, we have 2 slurred and then 6 tongue. And the next measure, same thing, 2 slurred, 6 tongue. I like to lift off of the end of that slur when there's a tongue note after it. So okay, it happens in other places. When you have a slur following another slur, then I won't lift. So for example, the octave passage there, I'm not going to lift off the ends of those slurs. I'm going to keep them full value. I'm going to play all those notes full value. All right, as opposed to, clipping. I don't want to clip them or lift off there because I've got slurs following slurs, okay? So just as a general rule, that's how I'm going to articulate. Whenever I have mixed articulation, that's how I'm going to do it here, all right? In measure 46, we have this B flat coming down to an F. And then whenever I see that, I immediately think of 1 and 1 B flat, okay? 1 and 1 B flat. So first finger left hand, first finger right hand, all right? And this is a super useful B flat fingering when we have any kind of B flat arpeggiated pattern, all right? So in this case, we're going from B flat down to F. So I just have to move these fingers like that. So anytime I see that, I'm gonna do that there. You don't have to. If you're using side B flat and that's how you've learned it, no problem, okay? I'm just wanted to point this fingering out. Now, on some clarinets, and maybe your clarinet, this 1 and 1 B flat doesn't seem to work, right? Why is that? Well, when you put down the right hand first finger, you notice that there are some keys moving up here. So the bridge key connects the lower mechanism and the upper mechanism together, all right? And when we put this ring down in the right hand here, the first finger, this pad goes down and it has to seal properly. And if your bridge key is not adjusted properly, or maybe it's missing some cork there, okay, then that pad may not seal. And if that pad doesn't seal, then that 1 and 1 B flat's not going to come out. So if it's sealing, then you get. Now, if not, I'll see if I can make it not do that. You get that kind of thing happening, all right? If you hear that, then what's happening is that this pad is not sealing for you. Now, the good news is this is a really easy thing to fix. So the next time you take your clarinet into the shop, maybe to have a pad replaced or something like that, you could ask them to look at your bridge key mechanism and just make sure that it's adjusted properly so that your 1 and 1 B flat seals here, okay? And that's a really super common thing. So any repair person will know, to look at that if you say, hey, can you check my bridge key for my 1 and 1 B flat, okay? The last thing I want to mention about this is the penultimate measure here, so measure 47 right here. And you notice that this measure begins with an octave and ends with an octave. And I always like to notice things like that in my music because, I get through this whole take and I get down to this second to last measure and I've got, an octave, which is, it's a large interval. An octave. I've got that E flat octave there to begin it, and then a B flat octave to end it there. And I just want to mentally know and be aware that, hey, I got to make an octave at the beginning, an octave at the end of that measure. So that just helps me negotiate that a little bit better. So I just wanted to point that out. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps your practice, and good luck.